everyone, today I thought I will continue painting my crystals and beautiful gemstones. So this one is Cornelian and it looks different, or you can see different details on both sides. So I'm trying to show you through a bit of light. On this side, however, you can see this beautiful, that's it right here. So I think I will be doing this side today because of these lines. I think I could create them nicely. So the colors that I can see in this Cornelian that I would sort of find in watercolors, sort of this Chinese orange that I recently purchased and really love it, and transparent red oxide. Also, I will use perhaps one or two colors from my sunset palette. So for those of you who have it, you might join in. So the colors that I'm thinking is Sargassum and Red Sea Grass. So I have a red sargassum right here. This is from when I was just making some paints for myself and playing with the textures, and you can see there's like loads of shards. So there's nothing wrong with the paint. I still can use it. It's just not very presentable, but I keep it in this beautiful oyster shell, and just fun to have something artisan like. It's super hot here. In fact, I'm going to take my ring off because I feel like everything, like my fingers feel like sausages. Anyway, the other thing I have here is synthetic ox gall that just helps to move pigments, so I might play with that today as well. Okay, so I'll begin by squeezing out some transparent red oxide, which in this case it's a single pigment PR101, and then there is Chinese orange, which is PY150, PR209 and PBR23. Lovely mix. I'm thinking it'd be good to swatch them out a little bit for you. Just see if I can find a spare piece of paper. I always struggle to have like a little spare piece of paper. Oh, hold on, I found something. Okay, so let's start by just mixing, well, not mixing, swatching rather. So you really need a tiny little bit, I can't speak today, it's just too hot. Tiny little bit of red oxide. You can see that's a fabulous color. It's got that red glow. Get the water here. Really hot. Okay. And then the next one is Chinese orange. And then, let's see. So this one is the Sargassum. And seagrass as well, just for a bit of redness. Okay, so the transparent red oxide is actually quite granulating by nature, so we might get some lovely textures there. So these are the colors we're going to be working with. So as you can see, the darker part is at the bottom, and then we get this sort of lighter part here with a couple of details. So this is how I'm going to start. If you haven't seen the Amazonite painting, I will try to link it up here for you so you can check it out. Okay, so I'm going to start with the darkest, and I think I will add a touch of red into it. So first of all, I'm just going to give myself a first layer of paint. So it doesn't have to be very strong, keeping in mind that I need to have my light colors here at the top. So what I would do is now go back in. By the way, paper wise, I'm using the Etchr watercolor block, which I will also link for you, and I have a review for that, so if you wanted to see, that's the same video as I'm doing the Amazonite, so if you wanted to have a look. Okay, so now we have lightened this area, and I'm going to now focus on darkening the bottom half here while the paper is still wet. And in the review I mentioned how much I actually enjoyed the fact that you can layer your colors. Although it seems like the water just sort of gets absorbed by the paper very quickly, you don't get that puddle of water sitting on the top of the surface. You know, when you're trying to achieve a wet puddle, it just seems to be going really quickly. However, this sort of effect is quite easy to achieve because the paper still remains wet even though it doesn't have that wet gloss on it, so you can carry on doing your glazes. Okay, so I'm just going to find a little tissue to take a bit of the water off here because I want it to be lighter in certain areas, like so. I quite like this edging here even though it's not on the pebble, so I might just keep that. Okay, now this part has a little bit more yellow, so you can see this would be a great addition. So I'm just going to take some onto the palette. Like so. And then it is quite hot today. Haven't checked yet how hot it is right now, but it's supposed to be in the 30s, so we need to work fairly fast because here the watercolor has already dried somewhat. And so what I would do in that case is take the water off my brush and then try to blend it in like so. And let's see, what else do we have here? So we've got quite a distinct white piece of stone right here, which I'm going to try and lift like that. This is where that mark will go in. And then some of these areas, just a little pattern I'm lifting like that. Okay, so I would like to add a little bit more red in the middle here. So I'm going to go into my red sea grass and add it onto my palette. All of these paints are super pigmented, so I need to be really careful. And then into that red paddle, I will add a bit of this orange, the Chinese orange, like so. And hopefully things are still dry enough for us to just dab in this paint a little, like that. So we're just creating layers and layers of interest. So looking at the stone, it looks like I need to take up this area a little bit here, up there, and maybe a tiny bit here. So here I need to be careful because it's all dry there, so you'll have a hard edge. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. Now, this bit needs to be darkened up. So what I'm going to do is go again into this lovely, super intense color and then just add quite a bit of it. I'm just going to follow the edge of what I already have. Because the color is so dark here, you actually can correct the edge, because if that was the other way around, you went with a lighter color, you wouldn't be able to do that. So now that I've done this, I need to take most water out of my brush and then just blend in where I can without losing this detail. It's not on the stone, but I actually like it, so I am going to take that artistic choice, or make that artistic choice, creative decision, that I like it that way. And so I'm just with the tip of my brush very carefully breaking up the straight line, just so that the eye doesn't notice what I'm doing here. Just go like that. And if I want to correct something, it would have to be with the darker mix again. So I would just with the tip of my brush go in like that. There we go. So I'm quite happy with what we have going here, but I feel like there is a bit much of the hard edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out this color into the lighter area and let it just kind of soften it a little bit. So here I'm also going to connect these two where I can, just breaking up the color just by dotting with the very tip of my brush. And that is probably it. So I'm going to soften the edge slightly here, just so it's not that obviously light. There we go. Okay, so we're still keeping the light, but just taming it down ever so slightly. Okay, so this is it. I'm happy with the intensity. I'm happy with the texture. The only thing we need to do now is just to wait for it to fully dry and then create these lines, which I will need a very fine brush. Just want to show you the gorgeousness of the watercolors. So hopefully you can see what I was trying to achieve here. So for the detail, I'm thinking of using sepia because this is sort of like a neutral brown that I can see in there. And the only sepia I have, or actually burnt umber, that would be maybe even better. So yeah, I think I'm going to use burnt umber. And we really need just tiny bits. So what I'm going to do is just take some of the burnt umber right here and place it onto my palette, and then work with a fine brush. Alright, so here I have the fine brush, which is a round Princeton Velvetouch 3.0. First I'm going to wet it, and it's not going to have too much water, so that's good. We're going to still have the intensity of the paint, and I can pick it up from here, just rolling the brush and then looking at the lightest point, try to create a line. And this area is slightly wet, so I might just wait a tiny little bit. While I'm waiting, I'm just going to add a bit more dimension. Depending how you turn the stone, you can see the crack thicker or thinner. And it starts right at the edge. So you can be a little bit more creative, you don't have to follow it to the T. Okay, so here should be dry enough, and I'm going to go in. Actually, I'm going to just blast it quickly. I can't believe it, I'm saying this in the 30+ degrees, but I am going to blast it very quickly with a heat tool. Right, so this one is roughly here, and then it just starts and goes like that into here. The beauty about these stones is that there is never going to be the same stone like yours. So it's like their little, you know, signature patterns that they have, which is quite pretty. Just realized this side was, or this end was curling that way, the other way, so it doesn't really matter, I suppose, does it? I just want it to be quite thin at the end, like so. The other thing you can do is, if you created something that you think might be a little touch too dark for your liking, even though it is like that in the real thing, in the real situation, you can try to lift it. So with this fine brush, just add some water on top and very quickly try to lift it. That way you're lifting the darkness of the pigment, but you're keeping, you know, the look of it. So it's just slightly lighter now. So I could do the same to the previous line. Just go on the top and then just lifting it like so. So it's a bit softer now, which I think I prefer. So that is it. That's our Cornelian. I hope you enjoy the process and will try some of it yourself. You can, if you want to, pause here and use this as an example to draw your Cornelian. We didn't, or I didn't use synthetic ox skull in the end, and it was too late in the process to be dropping it and possibly messing up what I quite liked. So we'll use it in another time, in another situation. One thing I want to show you now that things have dried, can you see these hard edges? Now, if you like it, that's good. I don't like them too much on kind of the entire area. So here what I would do is take my brush, the bigger one, make sure there's not much water on there at all, and do what we just done with the other colors. So very quickly try to soften it like that. So can you see now it's not as obvious as there, and I think I actually quite like it. So I'm gonna go here and do the same. like that. So it's a bit more softer now. No hard edges. All right, that is it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.